Hi everyone. In this video, we are going to look at how you can implement row level security, column level security, and how you can create roles within your OneLake to define access control on top of the data which is stored within your Fabric Lakehouse. So here I have already created two accounts. So this one is going to be my admin account, and from this admin account I'm going to create roles, manage the roles, and I'm going to provide permissions to the end users like the viewers one. And here this is my test account to which I'm going to provide permission to my tables within my lakehouse. So let's see how you're going to implement this OneLake security. So first of all, you need to go to your lakehouse, and inside the lakehouse within your lakehouse explorer, here you will have an option which says manage OneLake security. So you need to select this option. So let's click on this option. And once you enable this OneLake security for the first time, you will get this information that is asking you whether you want to continue to enable OneLake security for your lakehouse. So we will say yes, we want to continue. And once your OneLake security is enabled for your lakehouse, here you will notice that we have got one default role created automatically for us, that is default reader role. Now what is this default reader role actually? So you can think of this default reader role a kind of a safety net, right? Safety net means, now you will ask, what does that mean, Jasleen? Okay, so let me tell you. So before enabling this OneLake security, you might have given read permission to some people within your organization for this lakehouse, right? And once we turn on this OneLake security, we don't want anyone to suddenly lose access to the data that they already had. So, due to this reason, it automatically creates this special role, which is your default reader role, and it automatically includes everyone who already had read all permission in the lakehouse. That means that if your viewers they were able to view the data before the security was enabled, they will still be able to view it after you enable this OneLake security, right? So this is the main reason. So for instance over here, if I click on this default reader role, I'll be able to see all of my data available within my lakehouse. So here you can see this is my bronze folder available, and here I have two tables created within the lakehouse, and these are the members which are added into this default reader role, and they are having the permission as read all permission. And if you want to delete this role, you can delete this role as well, right? Because if you delete this role, this will automatically remove any read access for everyone who were having these access earlier, right? So now let's see how you can create a role within this lakehouse to provide permission for the other people within your team. So for that, here first you are going to create a new role. So I'll say click on plus new, and within this new role you can give a meaningful name to your role. For instance, I can say orders reader role, right? And in order to grant this role, you need to click on grant over here. So when you select grant, so here you will have the choice to select the permissions. So by default, every grant role will have read permission by default. And if you want to provide the ability to the users to edit data in their lakehouse on the specified folders or the tables, and that too without giving them access to create or manage the fabric items. Then you can enable this permission as well, that is read write permission. So this read write access, it will enable users to perform the write operations through things like your Spark notebooks, your OneLake file explorer, as well as through OneLake APIs, right? So here for the demonstration, I'm not enabling this. And at the bottom from here, you can add data to your role. If you want to add all data, you can select all data, but this is not we are going to use as a common practice. Why? Think of it. This is so because when you say all data, it means that if in future after assigning the role you add some more data to your lakehouse, so that new data will also be visible under this all data category. Okay, so we will go for the selected data option, and under the selected data option from here we are going to browse our lakehouse. And once you click on browse lakehouse, so here notice we are getting another interface, kind of an explorer, where we can explore the data within our lakehouse, inside the tables, inside the files folder. So if you want to share the entire folder, so you can select that file folder, but here we don't have the choice to select a particular file. But we are not going to select file, so I will be sharing these tables, let's say product table and orders table. So on one table, I'm going to implement CLS, and on another table, I'll show you how you can implement row level security. And then click on add data. That's it. And under the add members to your role, so here you are going to add members like the group or the individual user. So here I have the individual user role created with name test user. So I'm going to add this role, add this user to the role, and over here I'm going to commit this change. Now once you add this user to the role, you'll be able to have a preview of members that you have added plus the data preview, right? That which tables or which files you have shared with that particular person. And then from here you are simply going to say create role. That's it. Very easy. See, very easy. So I think this fabric is going to win race among the other options that we have in the market, right? Now, once you have created this OneLake security, right, the role in this OneLake security, now here notice this is the role we have created. And if you open this role, so here you will see the data, and if you want to implement RLS and CLS, so from here you can click on three dots, and in front of every table name you will find the option to implement row security, to implement column security, or if you want to remove from role, you can remove it as well. So let's say we want to implement column security. So I'll implement column security on my orders table. So I will select this column security. And once you open it, you need to click on enable CLS. And over here, you can see that we can see some list of columns available. So on whatever column you want to add the access control, right, that you don't want to share it with that particular end user, then you need to select those columns. So for instance, let's say I want to hide customer ID plus the order date, okay, from the orders table. So this is the orders table. So I'm hiding the customer ID and order date from that test user. So it is going to remove these columns for that test users. And then click on remove. Save. That's it. And now here you can see that our CLS has been implemented. It won't take time. As soon as you implement CLS, immediately it will be implemented. And now here, if you go back and you notice that we are able to see that in front of this orders table, one or more CLS constraints are applied to this table. So now let's see that whether it is working or not. So currently we have not implemented RLS, only CLS is implemented. So to actually see this, let's close this first. And if you go back over here, I don't have access to this Lakehouse data within my test role, right? I have only its own workspace created. So to actually share this item, we have two options. One is you can share the entire workspace, but if you share the entire workspace, you'll be able to see all the data within this workspace, right? But this is not recommended. We should go with the least privilege access mechanism. So I'm going to share this lake house. So here I will click on share, and then over here I will simply type the user ID, that is test user. That's it. And now over here I'm going to say grant permission, but I want that user to have access to the data through the SQL Analytic endpoint. So I will be selecting this additional permission as well, so that he'll be able to access the data through the SQL Analytic endpoint inside the Lakehouse. And now click on grant. Now it is granted, so you can see successfully granted permission. So now let's go back to our test role, refresh the browser, and go to this OneLake catalog option. Within this OneLake catalog option, notice that we have this test lakehouse item now visible within the OneLake catalog. So let's select this test lakehouse and say open. So it's currently opening up. Oopsie. What's that? What is this? We implemented the column level security, and here it actually shows that something, it's not able to load the columns, but still I can see the columns that I removed from this test user role, like customer ID and order date. Why it is so? This is so because we missed one very important step. So let's jump back into our admin account, and within the admin account here, open your Lakehouse once again, and within the Lakehouse, go to your SQL endpoint connection. From here, from your top right corner, switch to the SQL Analytics endpoint, and over here switch to your security tab, select this one. Now under the security tab here, you need to mention that how your OneLake data should be accessed. So here notice that what is the default access mode selected. This is the delegated identity, not actual user's identity. That's why we were able to see the data even after implementing that CLS. And same would happen if you implement RLS without doing this change, right? So in this scenario, when you use this delegated identity, it says it use the warehouse owner's identity to access OneLake, which means that this is your SQL endpoint running the query using the workspace identity, not the user identity, right? So it means that all users will appear same to the engine. Okay, so it's not suitable for your security sensitive scenarios, because your RLS CLS cannot differentiate users over here. Why? Because OneLake is able to see that okay, that request is coming from one shared identity, not from the particular user which we added under the CLS rules. Okay, so it means that now we should switch to the user identity role. So when you switch to the user identity role, so let's say continuing will remove all security permissions from SQL Analytics endpoint. And after you make this change, the user identity will be used to access the data. So I'll say, yes, this is what I definitely wanted. Yes, use the user's identity role. Now once you apply this, now your OneLake will check that user's permission who is logged in into the OneLake from your test user account, and your RLS CLS logic will see the real user, not the single shared identity, and your security rules will apply per user. So now let's browse, refresh our browser, and once you refresh it, now wait for the magic to happen. And now since we have implemented CLS on our orders table, so this preview won't load. So you can see it's taking a lot of time, 30 seconds, 14 seconds, it is trying to load the preview. And once it says, oh, sorry, I can't. So it will provide you an error message saying unable to load the table view. You can click on details, and now you can check the details. It is mentioned as that user is not authorized to access the files within this storage path for the orders data. Okay, so now we are able to see your CLS roles getting implemented once you did that small change, right? Now since we have restricted columns, so this preview will show you the preview of entire columns, right? All table. Now if you want to access those columns for which the users have permission, then the test user must switch to the SQL Analytics endpoint right over here. Okay, so let's switch to the SQL Analytics endpoint and write our query to see whether we are able to explore other columns within that table or not. So on which table we implemented? It is on the orders table. So here I can see those column names, but I won't be able to see the preview. So you can try over here as well. So let's create a new SQL query and mention the query now here. So we'll say select star from dbo.orders and run. And now notice, so it says select permission was denied on column order date as well as on the column customer ID. So now here it means that CLS is actually working behind the scenes. So now the user can mention the other columns for which the user has access. So here we can mention sales order ID, comma, line item, comma, order quantity from dbo.orders table. And now let's run the query. And now notice that it's working. Easy peasy. So just like we implement CLS, similar manner you can implement the row level security as well. So now let's jump back to our admin account, and within our admin account, let's go back to our Lakehouse Explorer. Select your manage OneLake security, because now we are going to implement row level security. Just open this, select the role, which is the orders reader role, and within this role, so now I'm going to implement RLS on my products table. So I'll click on three dots over here and select this row security. And once you select this, so here you will have the option to write down your SQL script, the logic to implement their RLS. So let's say, so I'm simply going to copy this, select star from products, where now here I need to mention the permission. So here you don't need to use your any UPN or user principal name method, right? So we are simply going to mention the rules. Where, so let's say I want to implement and I want to filter only the rows where your category is equals to mountain bikes. Now let's see what data your test user is currently have access to for this product, your products table. So let's switch back to the test user, and here this is your products table, right? So let's open it. So here you can see we have several list of products available for the mountain bikes, for touring bikes, for fogs, headsets. So different types of products are there, right? So I want to uh, provide access only to the mountain bikes. Okay, so this is correct. So now let's click on save. As soon as you click on save, your RLS is implemented, right? And it is up and running. So now let's check this. So let me remove this product, close this products tab and reopen it from here. So I click on this products table again to see the preview. Ta-da! Notice that now we are able to view. Okay, sorry. So let's refresh this browser first. Okay, so it was not working. So what I did, I refreshed my browser again, which is the browser from my admin account. So once I refreshed, then I went back to my test user role, and within the test user role, now if you recheck the products table, and now here notice that we are getting the data only for the category mountain bikes. Okay, and we can see here that how many rows are there, 32 rows are there at the bottom. It means that now our RLS is working. Okay, so this is how we implement RLS, CLS, and we create roles using OneLake security inside the Lakehouse. And make sure while you're implementing these roles, you don't add up another level of security through other mechanisms, right? Otherwise, it will interrupt, right? And you won't actually see security getting implemented in place. That's all. Thank you.